Frank came in, we're going to start the meeting. Welcome all to the tourism meeting. First thing on the agenda, I need a motion to approve the minutes of May 1st. Ms. Frazier, Mr. Dickinson, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's passed. Okay. The next part of this agenda, and I will say to everybody sitting here, this agenda here is Gene Merlino. It's not my tourism board. It's not the advisory committee. This is just something I've been working on for the last couple of weeks, and I have to say my piece on it. Last couple of weeks, or a couple of months, or even a couple of years, we have a group, the Business Association, that we try to work with. They try to work with us. Last year, the tourism department offered them $400,000 to tell us what they wanted us to spend it on. I got no response. Zip.
No, you got no response.
No, I didn't. That was after that. So, down the road lately, I personally, now a lot of you know me, I've been in this county for 32 years, been a supervisor for 12, I've been a promoter of tourism all that time, and even before that. I'm getting tired of seeing these emails, the sky is falling. And I believe that's what's happening here, and I believe that when you look up and nothing hits you, you're still eventually going to start believing it. Now, I know tourism dips and goes up and down, and occupancy, it's a tough thing to track. But I'm not tracking occupancy. Are you ready for this? Yeah. I'm not tracking occupancy. I'm tracking money. All right? On the first slide, oh, you can't make it any bigger, huh?
Is that as big as it goes, Peter, or wait right
Can you
here?
try that? Yeah.
There you go. Well, at least we got a big screen here. You know, we get saying, well, tourism's wasting $28 million in tourism money over 7 years. We're not doing it right. Tourism is flat. Well, I'm going to try to explain all this, and again, too, I want to emphasize this is just Gene Merlino, not my board here. The only ones that really know about this is my part in the tourism department, Mr. Gaverty, and the treasurer. Starting in 2010, which they say in the last 7 years we've been flat, this is the tourism budget, okay? Nothing else but tourism. 2010 it was $2 million, 2011 went $2.3 million, then in 2012 it started to drop to 2.6, 2.3, 2.2, 2.7, 2.27. In 2016 it was $2,256,000. All right, and the reason some of these drops are is because we're more modernized. We went into more technology, and we stopped doing a lot of advertising in places that we kind of felt, and then from people saying that we weren't getting any response, because everything is, you know, are you getting bang for your buck? That's the whole story here. So this is a 7-year budget of tourism department, which is $16,178,000. Now, out of tourism, there comes a lot of stuff that, you know, like we pay $25,000 towards Lake George Tourism Center. We've been working with the CVV board for $25,000 on the exit 17. You know, we do a lot of other things, not just dollars and cents. Promoting tourism, we do promote other items in the county through our tourism budget, not counting OCTAX. So that's the first page. On the second page, and I know people don't have this, I didn't want to put it out too soon, but anybody wants a copy of this, because I really want to debate it with some of the people later on, but not today. Bed tax. Now, these numbers too, I want you to tell, I think the treasurer is here. He will confirm that my numbers are right on target, or 1% off or something, but this is bed tax collected. 2010, $3,279,000. 2011, $3,373,000. 12, $3,533,000. 13, $3,707,000. 14, $3,814,000. 15, $4,148,000. 16, 4,171,000. A total of 26,029,000. All right, that's a total. Now, if you look on the bottom of that little print, that's an average of $809, almost $92,000 over that period that we increased. If you divide it by 7, it's a little over $100,000 a year that tourism tax has increased. Next page, sales tax. Sales tax revenue in this county, 2010 was $42,000,008. In 2011 it was $46,394. 2012 was $47,597. 13, $48,836. 14, $49,404. 15, $51,204. And 16, $51,034,034. For a total in 7 years, $336,253,000. That's what we got in this county in sales tax. And I will tell you the whole story, to be honest with you. I woke up one night at 4 o'clock in the morning dreaming about this thing, and I called the treasurer the next morning, and I said to him, that $3,306,000, that's what we get from the state. That's only 3% of what this county collects. The state keeps 4%. So with calculations, Warren County in those 7 years actually collected $784,591,000. But our lovely state kept $448,388,000 of that money, which they do nothing for us for. We can hardly get our roads paved. So there's a big chunk of that sales tax that comes into this county. Now, real quick, anybody know how much you have to take into the county to garner $784,531,000 in sales tax? How much they got to be spent without using a calculator? Well, I'll tell you, it's $11 billion. You got to spend $11 billion to garner $784 million in sales tax. All right? So there's one thing that we don't, it's just too bad we can't keep the 4 and let them count to keep the 3. Probably wouldn't even need a tax in the county for the people that pay it. So let's go back to page 4 now. And where I showed you here, we got 3% is 3.6. With the bed tax, we garner $362 million over that 7-year period. That's the sales tax that comes in and the bed tax. Back to the budget, the $16,168,000 is what we total in the budget. The benefits, we give out about $10 million, and that's, I don't have it all listed here, but the treasurer takes a fee, special events, civic center, directory, and county projects. Over the 7 years is $10 million roughly. It comes out of that OCTAX money. And back to one more thing, this $7 million in tax does not count any tax from Glens Falls. Glens Falls is an entity by itself. They give the tax to the state, and the state gives them back their share. So this money that we got here doesn't count Glens Falls or taxes, sales tax from anything, their hotels or their shops or anything that goes on over there. Back to Warren County, again, there's the number. Now, I figure I'm conservative, so I took 1/3 of that $7,804,000, which accounts for $261,434,000, excuse me, and I added the bed tax of $26,029 for those 7 years. Our investment into tourism in this county is $26,500,000 in 7 years. I don't think there's a businessman or a businesswoman in this room that wouldn't invest $26 million to reap $287,560,000 in return on an investment. Okay? So that's there. I have a problem with this STAR report. STAR report to me is bogus, and I'll say it straight out. We only get 30% of our people that collect OCTAX in there, Now, I know before Frank jumps out of his seat, I know that 30% is probably in the neighborhood of 45 or 50% of the big people that get reports, but we still missing 40% of the people that collect bed tax and sales tax. All right? The other thing that I'm going to bring up with our advisory group, and I know I talked to my tourism group about, I want to change the names that we compete against. I mean, I've said it for years, and I'll say it again. I mean, how can we compete against Atlantic City, New Jersey? I'm a Jerseyite. That place has 8 to 10 million people within 50 miles of Atlantic City. They got 12 casinos there. They got ocean. How do we compete against their rooms? So these numbers to me are bogus as far as I'm concerned. I just don't think New London, Connecticut is a place that tourism we track different. Here, this tourism department, and we'll show you slides later, we're here to promote Warren County. We're here to promote fishing, hiking, boating, snowmobiling, anything under the sun. And again, you've heard me say you can do something every day for 30 days, probably even more, and not do the same thing twice. We're not here to promote the hotels. That's their job. We're here to bring people. And if you can't tell me, unless we have a treasury ferry that comes down and drops us millions on us, we're getting the people here. But there is no reporting on campgrounds, RV parks, condos that are being rented and built over the last 5 or 8 years, private home rentals, rentals through Airbnb, day trippers. I mean, they bring in a lot of money that we have no count for. I believe the people, I wish I could put tickets on the streets and count how many cars come through here. The people are here. Some hotels have struggled here and there, but, what's that other report I just gave you? I mean, just take 2017, you know, according to my statistics from tourism, we were up 6.6% increase. In January. February we were up 9.2. In March we were up 7.1. In April we were up 6%. Okay, May dropped to 5%. But we're in a very strange area. Weather makes a big difference. I mean, I believe we're going to have a good summer, but I believe there are places like, you know, horseback riding, golfing, the swim parks. There are places that are going to get hurt because it's weather oriented. Too much rain, they can't get out there. In May, that 5% increase, I can't tell you why, but it was 5% increase. It wasn't down. In June, we bounced back a little to 0.9, not 5%, 0.5, I'm sorry. I'm still waiting for what July comes. If it's anything in effect of my business, I was late this morning. I need one more room to rent today. I got 2 left. Then I'll break a 2013 record for business at my place. Now, if I'm all the little guys are that 40% that we're missing. But they don't calculate. I'm the little guy. And I know there's plenty of us out there. So, you know, that's my speech. I just can't take the sky is falling anymore. And the emails that I got, especially the one I got Thursday, is insulting. It's embarrassing. I mean, they're starting to make the trend in emails that, oh, geez, if we don't do better, the sales tax is going to go down, and people in Warren County are going to pay more taxes because the government won't have money to pay make the people pay. It's all garbage. I love the business association. I will work with them 1,000,000%, but I think it's time for them to get a different leadership in there to run the business, work with us on it, not just keep bashing the tourism department. Well, that's my speech, and I will end that part. And we'll go into the rest of tourism meeting. Anyone wants to meet with me later on and talk about this? And one other thing that I forgot to mention, I got an email, no names. Tourism has been run for the last 7 or 8 years strictly on OCTAX. There's not one dime of Warren County taxpayers in the money. So when I hear, well, you got to do this because it's taxpayers' money, believe it, it's not our taxpayers. Unless they stay in a hotel one night, then they do pay that. But this tourism department strictly run it's in the county budget because we have to have a pass-through money, but there's not one dime goes out to the taxpayers of Warren County. Okay, end of speech. All right, I'll move on. Joanne, you want to move in with your part?
Thank you. Good morning. So we'd like to update you a little bit on some of the programs in our summer campaign and how things are moving along. The Original Vacation is calling. We are the Original Vacation, and we're using that tagline in our television commercials and our print ads and on our website. So you'll see that over and over again, and we're trying to drive that message home. So as Jean said, we have a wide range of topics that we cover. So we begin with our print ads early in the spring, April and May. Our television broadcast begins on May 1st. And then throughout the summer, we can be timely and focus on different messages, and we have our email blasts that go out every other week. So it could be camping, it could be children's summer fun things to do, whitewater rafting, fireworks, things that appeal to a broad range, or it could be a little bit of a niche. We start that with our anchor story. So we have a copywriter in the office. He writes a fabulous story for us. We send it out as the anchor story in our e-blast. It goes out to our list. And then in addition to that, we'll focus on some of the events, some of the big events that are upcoming in the next week or so. So we happen to do Fridays at the Lake. We did some waterfront restaurants, the Wine and Food Festival. We did include Remember Charlotte on one of the most recent e-blasts. But this is where we can be a little bit niche and a little bit responsive and get that message out. So not only do we take that story and have it be the anchor of the e-blast, but we also promote that on Facebook, and we put money behind that as a boosted email blast. We will use some of this in our digital campaigns. I would just like to note that Facebook has really taken over in terms of number of followers. The increase has just been tremendous over the last year, and the engagement that we've received on each of our posts is like pennies per post for engagement, because there are so many people liking and sharing and commenting on all of our posts. So the boosted ones go out to people that are not currently our followers. So it's a new message that's out there. It increases our number of followers and gets that message out there.
Just real quick, to clarify, the 11,000 was the cumulative number that the old department had tallied over probably 4 or 5 years worth of work. Since Joanne took over and established Facebook as a platform that we want to take over, and it's in the top 4 ranking of all sites that U.S. visitors are on, we've grown that 1,900%. And what's important about this here is our email list has dwindled because people aren't interacting with email as much, but it's still a sizable amount. So we have 50,000 email subscribers and about 10,000 opens per email that goes out. But with the same story, the same effort, the manpower that went into writing that story, editing the pictures, and curating the content, we put it on that platform for 10,000 eyeballs to see on email. And then it goes out here where it's in front of hundreds of millions of eyeballs. So we're getting a lot of efficiency out of one curated piece. And as we continue to develop this platform and grow it, the efficiency keeps getting better and better. And further statistics indicate that our stories are operating on above the industry standard as far as engagement and cost per clicks. So this is all very good stuff. To have those kind of metrics on one of the top 4 websites in the United States is pretty profound.
And we know that people are reading our stories. There was a Beaches and Beyond story that we ran. Cruises was also very popular. And the people are clicking on the website and they're reading it. They're there for over 2 minutes. So we know that people are interested in this. In any of the ads, Facebook redirects to the website, digital media and native redirects to the website. So it's sending the traffic to our website. People are staying there and spending time on it. So that's the website that we've worked so hard to create, and we launched it on May 1. So numbers like that make us feel good that our efforts are paying off. So let's move on here. So for example, this was our Beaches and Beyond blog story, and the numbers of people that read that was 38,000. And again, spending time reading that. We tried a little something last weekend in this when the temperatures were really quite high. We geo-fenced some of the beaches down on Long Island and the Jersey Shore. And again, as Peter said, the click-through rate was above the industry average. People on these beaches are geo-fenced, and we push them the story about beaches in Lake George. So we'll do that for the next couple of weekends, and just kind of, it takes a few times for them to see it, but they'll say, hey, I've been to the Jersey Shore 3 weeks in a row now, maybe it's time to head north. So it focuses on beaches around the county. So once folks get to our website, they click and read, okay, they found what they want, and they left. But we retarget them, and we can follow their IP address, and we serve them up another little ad. So that's the free travel guide. So they'll see that a couple of times. Then they click, they leave us their name and address, we send them the travel guide. Then again, we retarget those people through their IP addresses, and we push them out, okay, you've already got our travel guide, you've been to our website, book now. So I can tell you that 32,000 people have been to our lodging page. How do they get there? I mean, they can come through our many pages on our website, but the Book Your Stay button has worked well for us. And in addition to that, some of our properties, about a third, have a direct Book Now button. So if someone wants to go to the Sagamore or they want to go to the Surfside, they can click Book Now and make a reservation. So almost 3,000 people have clicked on various Book Now buttons. So it's not just throwing an ad out there and not monitoring it. There's a measured series of steps in order to get these people to convert and actually rent rooms. And I went the wrong way. So in addition to our paid media, I think that we've done a very good job this year on earned media, which we have always done in the past. So that would be our PR efforts. We work closely with Visit Adirondacks and I Love New York, in addition to leads that just come into us at the department. We will follow up on, so I Love New York will send a lead and they'll say, oh, Country Living or USA Today is looking for the best beaches. And people from around the country will contribute. So we happen to be picked up in Country Living as one of the clearest bodies of water in North America. So our staff wrote the narrative and submitted that to Country Living, and we were selected, and that's been all over the internet. So that doesn't cost us a penny other than someone in our office writing that narrative. Social media influencers, we worked with I Love New York. So the entire tab is paid for by I Love New York to hire the social media influencer. This gal and her husband have 250,000 followers on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. They come here and stay for a few days. They post all about their visit, lovely images. We're tagged on I Love New York, we're tagged on Visit Adirondacks, and we're tagged on this gal's page, so her 250,000 followers learn about us. So that didn't cost us anything other than making some arrangements. We do have some good relationships with our business partners in the room, and maybe there's a cruise on the lake, or there's mini golf, or there's Great Escape. But those are the kind of doors that we can open for them. We also had a pretty good relationship with Trivago, and they invited us to write a blog on the Lake George area. So that Room 5 is the name of their blog, ran, and we've gotten good feedback from that. I'd just like to stress that we are talking about an RFP later in the year for someone to help us do some PR out and about, and more than what we're doing here. But I think with it in-house, we're doing a pretty darn good job with the number of dollars that we've had to spend, which is not that much. The one other thing that I did a couple weeks ago, I Love New York has a media night in the city, and they do that 3 times a year. And someone from the Adirondacks always goes down to visit the whole Adirondack region, or to represent, I'm sorry. And I said, well, I haven't been down there, let me go down and see what it's like. So this is all set up by I Love New York. They invite the media to come in, and we just have one-on-one conversations with them. So that's how a lot of these media visits are set up. So with the limited resources that we have, we're really getting our name out there, and it's resonating in our earned media. A relatively new initiative within the department, Tanya Brand, in addition to doing her motor coaching group tour, has started working on an international push. So it's not sensible for us as Warren County alone to be working on bringing an international visitor here, but we know the number of visitors that are coming into New York City. Where are they going? They're going to Niagara Falls, they're going to the Catskills. We need to get them to come up north. So Tanya has been working with the Wild Center and Saratoga, and now Clinton County is going to be coming on board, and they've developed a Go North program. So go north out of the city. We know there's a captive audience. Visitors from abroad come for an extended period of time, so we want them to come up this corridor that is so easy for them, and we've all partnered together on this Go North program. So when Tanya went to Washington, D.C., IPW is International Powwow. This is the first time we've launched the Go North, and it was very well received by all of her receptives and international partners. And I Love New York thanked Tanya and her counterparts. Finally, we have something to bring these people up in this direction. We've never had anyone representing the Adirondacks before.
And also I wanted to mention that Joanne and I have attended a couple of different workshops for the Norwegian is now coming into Stewart, which is in the Hudson Valley. So they're having 2 flights a day now from Dublin, Belfast, and another big city there, I can't remember, but a big UK presence is going to be coming into that airport. So the timing of Go North with IPW was just great because we're going to have that influx of travelers that are coming in directly into the Hudson Valley. When they come in, they're going to avoid all that traffic at JFK. The customs is going to be a lot easier, so we think that we're really going to get it in the next couple of years, a big international push from that airport. So,
and it could be a domestic push too, just to get people north and out of the city. So it has long legs. So we're really excited to work on Go North. And a lot of that is funded through a CFA grant that Hillary up at the Wild Center has applied for, and she's applying for another grant this year. So again, it's just us cooperating with our partners and getting a really good bang for this buck on behalf of this regional partnership. So I know you've...
I got this one.
Okay, this is Peter.
There was a meeting many months back in which a gentleman in this room now, Eric from The Great Escape, had mentioned, why can't we be big? Why can't we be grandiose? This area is amazing. Let's act as such. And that resonated with me because I felt the same way. This is a beautiful area. It's got the tried and true history. The original vacation is the honest truth. This is the start of it all. So we were pushing that out for quite a while. Can you switch over to the other one? So there's been print ads in the same publication that the people that run I Love New York's marketing would see. They've called. You have to switch over to the different screen, so exit here. So the original vacation's been out in print, out in social media. We've been running it on our TV commercials. And
I'm sorry.
no, it's all right. It's working. Little old Warren County has... Let's from you.
I'm sorry.
Don't feel bad. That's good.
We have to make an impression on I Love New York, right? So I want you to listen to their spot, what they're pushing out with their budget.
This summer, in the state that invented the American vacation, a legendary adventure awaits. Heroes will rise, bonds will be forged, and memories will be made to last a lifetime. New York State, it's all here. It's only here. Plan your summer trip at iloveny.com.
Now I'm going to play that one more time because I think it's important to really clarify that little old Warren County with the minuscule tourism department is influencing I Love New York. Our original vacation started here. It was our brand initiative that we did here. It was the brand initiative that we said cost Syracuse over $50,000. We did it here free with this staff. And now all of a sudden, if you listen to the first part of this commercial, original vacation, what is I Love New York doing?
This summer, in the state that invented the American vacation,
Okay, in the state that invented the American vacation, their creative people called us asking about our branding and our spots because they're seeing it and they're including it in their stuff now. So we are moving the needle on a very grand level, and we are positioning us as a very grandiose place. So I think, to the best of our ability, we are trying to further that cause because it's important. I think this is a great area. And as far as vacation goes, we are tried and true from the dawn of its earliest beginning in New York and the United States. So this is pretty profound. I think to move the needle at the state level doesn't happen often, and we did it. And we'll continue to push those channels to sell the story because this benefits them as much as it benefits us. This is a claim that New York can take that no other state can. And so there's as much value in that for them as there is for us. And we happen to have it trademarked thanks to our legal department. Thank you very much. So that's it for
Where
our
we're at
part.
for the summer. So there are a couple of other little tidbits of news that we should share with the committee. You probably remember that earlier this summer we did send out an RFP for a booking engine. The deadline was 2 weeks ago and we did not get any responses on that. So we will just continue to, we really haven't done a lot of solid promotion behind our Book Now button, but that will be our move in the coming months and next year, and as we move into phase 2 with our new website development, is to focus on that Book Now button and how that can best help us. The Great Escape campaign, the co-op, has just ended yesterday, so we'll look for a report on that. We did look at some of the markets where we placed the broadcast and the digital, Utica, Syracuse, and Hudson Valley, and we can see in our analytics that there is some change from last year to this year in those markets, increased visitorship. And then we'll wait to hear from the Great Escape on how some of that digital ad did, and everything that they did pushes visitors, again, to our website. There was a blog story on the Great Escape, and in addition to fun outdoor things to do, that got quite a number, like 5,000 page views on that. And again, people reading the story, they're there for a minute and a half, so you know they're reading the story.
And the report should be fairly good, if not great, because we received weekly updates from them, kind of going over the metrics, click-throughs, engagement, and they were all very, very good. Where things were maybe slipping a little bit, still beating industry average, but not as good as the other ones, they shifted money into the more lucrative programs. So on a week-to-week basis, we got some really good updates. So I think, and then again, our metrics on our site indicate that it worked well. So it should be, I think
And
it'll
that's
be
the
a good
benefit
report.
of digital, is everything is so measurable, and you can, if you see something that's not working, then you can switch it up a little bit.
Yes.
Explain what were you talking about? Book Now? You didn't get any response. What were you looking for?
Like an OTA like Trivago or Booking.com, where you can go and say, I want to stay in the Lake George area, and it'll give you some suggested properties. We were looking to do something like that on our website, where you would just keep the user on our site, and they'd say, I want waterfront, I want to bring pets, and I don't know, I want a pool. And it would narrow the search, and it would just search our website. So we were looking for someone, a third party, to do that for us. There's a lot of work involved, so we did not get any responses to that.
And let me add that. I spoke to Sarah Mannix Marketing, and she basically told me it'd be tough to somebody to do that because you need multi-million dollars to invest in what you need to get that going. We can't compete with Trivago or all those things you see on television constantly just here in this county. Because I tried, when we didn't get any response, I called and said, why don't you put one in or something, but she wouldn't even do it. It's a tough thing, but the way The tourism department is reacting. We can just push a button, so we don't really get involved in it, let them go to a hotel or whatever, and, you know, we're not tracking it or making money off of it, because that's the thought that it was, that we can get the percentage that they travel, like my place, when I get somebody from Expedia, I pay, you know, but I'd rather get 100 Expedias than have, you know, 100 rooms empty, and so that's what we have to start doing as the small guys. So, all right, go ahead, Joe.
I think the last thing we need to touch on was the sharing of the Smith Trend reports, and we had talked about this in February, but there needed to be a little bit more clarification. So we've been on the phone, we've emailed back and forth with our contacts at Smith Trend, and we asked them to put in writing. You know, we walked through the scenario in very careful detail about the tourism department, the advisory group, and the other stakeholders and the people that are viewing the reports and the sharing of the reports. So the bottom line is that we can share with our tourism committee. We cannot share it with our advisory committee because they are stakeholders, and this is a revenue generator for Smith Trend. And beyond the tourism committee, we cannot share it with anyone additional. So it can't go to the Lodging Owners Association or an individual hotelier. In the past, occasionally someone will come into the office and, you know, we'd open up, we would keep a paper copy and let people look at it. They've asked us not to do that. They also pointed out to us, actually they called this to our attention, that in the BBG&G report, some of the 5-year comparisons, not only for Warren County, but for some of our peer counties, are included within the report. And that report is just for us to be confidential. So we cannot share that publicly anymore until we redact those couple of pages. It was on the county website, so we did have to take that down. So they did call that to our attention that we really cannot be sharing that.
Rachel?
Mr. Chairman, I know I walked in a few minutes late, and I apologize, but I walked in on you talking a little bit about your not being thrilled with these reports. How much are we paying for them? Is there a different avenue? I'm very uncomfortable that we're paying with public money for these reports, and now we're redacting a report we paid a whole lot of money for. And that we put a lot of weight into. We're not sharing with our advisory group in the tourism committee, which was just formed, and that was a big benefit. So I think I don't really...
Well,
I think that we would-
just to answer part of it, it's not public money. It's money that comes, we get no sales, we get no money running tourism from the public.
Gee, somebody from the public's paying that tax. in the
No,
common
no,
day.
they're not. We're running, well, you laugh, we're running the tourism department on the OCTAX money,
Right,
but it's not public money unless you stayed in a hotel.
Well, then count me in, because I paid for a hotel in Warren County, and my money has gone towards OCTAX.
But
and
it's
I'm
not
a member of the
considered,
community.
you know, not part of taxpayers' money out of our budget,
But
so
it's
just so
somebody's
you know that.
taxpayer money.
Well, it's not taxpayers' money, but anyway, we're going to try to reform that, because I don't like this report. I really don't like this report at all from this STAR report, because it compares us with places that are not even equivalent to us. The ones that are shown, like Syracuse, Buffalo,
Right.
you know, Finger Lakes, those are the ones we should be comparing ourselves to.
See, if I could just go back
Go ahead.
to my main question, and you seem defensive about this, and I don't want this to be defensive. We have a difference of opinion on who's paying for that report, apparently, but how much are we paying in Warren County for that
Well,
report?
they can give you the answer.
So there are a number of different reports. Currently, we receive a weekly, we have a monthly, and we have some peer trend reports, and then we have a forecast. So it is several $1,000s by the time you add them all up. I don't... What, I'm sorry? $6,800. Oh, $6,800. But that did include some of our peer trends. So we were looking at Saratoga, Essex County. When Debbie was doing her report, we did get, I think, all 5 of the peer trends. So
And all are confidential.
they are. The tourism committee can see them.
Yes,
I'm not
sir.
sure if I can ask.
Go ahead. No,
I think the Sagamore, probably 15% of our occupancy comes from within the county. People that live in Warren County stay at Sagamore. We're happy about that. Ice Bar is an example. Those 2 weekends is a huge local following. Through the course of the summer, I see a lot of faces that come here, the mayor of Lake George Village stays with us. So to sit there and say that it doesn't come from within the county isn't accurate. Todd, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I think there's probably a lot of people that stay at the Queensbury Hotel that live in Warren County, that go for a night, that stay the staycation. People in the county, we look to the county as a viable, real place to put heads in beds.
Oh, I understand that. I'm not talking about the 4%. I'm talking about the 7% sales tax that runs our budget.
That's sales tax, occupancy tax, the whole 9 yards.
Occupancy tax doesn't run our budget. Sales tax runs our budget. All right. I agree. There are people that go. I will back off of that a little, but the majority of the money comes from people out of the state, out of our county.
Can I just clarify then, Gene? Occupancy tax does not fund our tourism department?
Yes, it does.
Oh, I thought you just said sales tax.
No, not sales tax, occupancy tax.
Okay, 'cause
You misspoke.
I do not want to be the one to call you out on a...
Okay, I'm sorry. If I said it wrong. Our tax
Okay.
runs our tourism department. Sales tax or county tax money does not.
So how valuable is this report if it's only us looking at it that may not know how to interpret it in a way that would be most beneficial? Should we keep paying for this report? If I can't show it to an expert
Go ahead.
that can
And maybe
explain
we
it
should
to me.
not. I think we had this last phone call on Friday afternoon, and Friday at 4:15 was when I got the final, here's who you can and cannot share that with. So over the course of time, whether it's the advisory or BDG&G or the committee, we've been asked to purchase additional reports. So I think that it is time to reevaluate which reports we're receiving, and I think we pay like on a quarterly basis. So Lisa said maybe we could go back and revisit that. We haven't paid for all of 2017 at this point. And I like the monthlies. It gives us a nice day by day, and then we can compare a certain day to last month, and then it gives us cumulative, and then it gives us year to date. So I do happen to like that one. The weekly could change so much depending on the weather, or Americade this year doesn't line up with Americade last year, so then your numbers are way up or way down, so you really have to read into the weeklies a little bit more.
And if I continue to share it, to ask for an expert to help me interpret it, to understand the trends, what's the penalty? What happens?
I didn't ask what the penalty would
Well,
be.
based on what happened recently, they redacted the ability to share it with our advisory committee. So step one is they took something away from us that we had before, and now we don't. Step two would probably, it's just their product, they could just say, you can no longer purchase our product. So it was very clear when they said take the report down that we should comply with them and not push things, or we risk losing the report.
You can buy the report. I mean,
Yourself.
that's the reason is that it is a saleable commodity. Now, if you want the report, you have to buy it. I mean, that's why they're being hard on this issue.
Exactly.
No, that's exactly. I mean, any hotel, anybody can sign up and buy their own.
Is that same report offered to the hotel? I don't think
Yes.
I don't
it's
know
all
that.
offered. I don't think that report we get is offered to our hotels. That's the problem.
Yeah, I can buy a competitive set for
You could buy, they can buy it if they want.
Okay. For
Yeah.
$6,800.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, the deal that you guys give may not necessarily be the deal that I get.
Right.
But I can buy, if I want to see what San Antonio is doing, I can buy San Antonio.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, yes.
An example of what we're talking about here, you look at Saratoga weekly, you look at Essex County weekly as a competitors of ours, and you look at us weekly. What you will see, probably, you will, but I'm going to say probably, is that Saratoga's in a little bit of trouble. I think you'll agree with that. They're hurting. They've got way too many rooms and not enough people filling them, and the price goes down. Now, that became something to talk about, when all of a sudden, Queensbury's going to put a whole bunch more rooms down at Exit 18. What's the competition? The competition for us for those rooms is Saratoga, which is already cutting the price. Okay? So maybe we ought to stop and think a minute about whether we should encourage a whole lot more motel rooms up here. And the same, to a degree, Essex County is so different in the way they handle things and its order and whatever. But that information is only available to the hoteliers that are trying to compete with all these people. When the people get here and they work hard and spend a lot of money of their own getting the people here, the only place you're going to find that kind of information, whether you like them or hate them, it doesn't matter. There's basic information there you can glean what you need out of if you take the time and the effort. That's the thing we're talking about when these star reports. It's the only, as far as I know, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, it's the only numbers out there because of all the people that have a brand have to use it and have to report to it. So there's nobody playing games with it. From the individual money that's shown, and up, down, sideways, whatever. So that's the kind of thing we're talking about with the Star Report. Big hotel, mom and pops, they can look at it and get a feel for what's going on. For the big hoteliers that are generating 80% of the money, I honestly don't know. That's critical information. So that's what we're talking about with the Star Report. Shouldn't shoot it down really for any reason. Somebody's collecting the data and they're putting it out there for the people to see. Thank you.
Matt, I think you had your hand up.
It's kind of, thank you, but it's kind of been answered, I think. I was just going to suggest, if we look at the option of just amending the contract to, with that Star Report to include some of the other interested parties in Lake George CPB, for example, to allow them to have access, and if there would be an additional cost to allow them to be another party in that contract. Is that something that we can look into?
They could buy it on their own.
They can buy it on their own.
Yeah, we tried every angle.
Well, yes. No, my question would be for it to be for Warren County Tourism and, the advisory group, or if there's the Lake George CPB. I'm just using that as an example. Can we merge the two together with that contract? It is a product, after all. It's not something that I think we can ask them.
Well, we did ask them that. I was very specific about my questions because we addressed this in February, and then there was still some questions. So can we share this with the tourism committee?
At any
yes,
price.
Yes, you can. You're right, at any dollar value.
Is there a price behind that we can make a decision on? And there is. The flat answer is no. There's not even a dollar amount that you can say, okay, for that amount we would be willing to pay it. It was just a flat out no.
We've spent a lot of time.
So, and from,
I don't doubt it.
I know, just trying to...
You guys have probably done more homework on that than I have, obviously. I'm just...
and from our perspective as a department, there is value in the reports. I mean, this year I can tell you that Americaid was better than last year and better than the year before. I don't know how it looked on the streets compared to years in the past with, stuff like that. But as far as an industry went, that week, when you add up all the numbers, was better than last year's and was better than the years before. So when Mr. Dutcher comes in here and says it was a good Americaid, I can verify that. Yes, it was. It was actually the best one that we've had in a few years. I can't look back further than that because I don't have any of the reports, so I don't know if it was like a record-setting Americaid, but compared to last 3 years, that's fine. A new event, like Sasha's Wine and Food Festival, how is it growing? How are those people stacking up? So I take the daily by month, and I track those numbers and I compare them to last year. And lo and behold, it adds up to what she's saying. There's more people, more ticket sales. Is that translating to rooms? My indicators say yes. The math says yes. So there's value from that standpoint. And I think that can be used however decision makers want to use it.
Rachel.
Thank you. And my concern, I don't doubt your ability to interpret that report, but my concern with any statistic, and any of our stats class will show us this, right? You can spin a statistic to support whatever cause.
Mm-hmm.
So, or you can look at one part of the report and not another part. My problem is we can use this information, but we can't share where we're getting that information from. So I can't prove our comments, I can't prove our bottom line to anybody in the public because I can't share with them where we're getting that information. And like many things perhaps, for example, if I'm looking at, well, that should equate to room nights, well, if I'm looking at our comparables and I'm seeing that they're charging, depending on they're charging more, they're charging less, how are their rooms stacking up compared to what we have available? I mean, there's so many moving parts, but yet I won't be able to share the evidence with them. And that's my concern with this report. To me, I'm glad to hear that perhaps at a department level it's helping you, but it does cause me a great bit of concern because I can't understand or ask for help with the entire thing and provide that data to say this is where I'm getting this information from. So as someone receiving a report, it doesn't provide a lot of usefulness to me and me by myself, but I'm surprised there isn't a cost factor that we could pay to share it with partners, because like you said, they could certainly buy it on their own. You'd think they would say to us,
Probably
what's
cheaper for them to buy it on their own anyway. Instead of us adding on the cost of it, they can go and get every one of them.
It's still OCTAX money, and I think because they're still generating the dollar, it's still something that perhaps our county could be using our funds that they're generating to help them get that data that will help drive the people.
You got
to
the
our
answer,
town.
Rachel. They will not do it. I can't explain it any different to you.
I hope
I'm
then
trying,
maybe
but I
call
can't.
regularly.
Mr. Leggett, I think you had your hand up?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think this is an issue that Smith Trend Report is information, and it's a tool that our department uses to help them guide decisions, just as if you would purchase software that was special to your cause, and we would not share that software with just anybody else in the room. So I appreciate you looking out for things, but just because it is information and just because the county is signing the check on it doesn't necessarily mean that it needs to be total public information, because then anybody could come in and say, oh, let me use this software, the county bought it. It's an information thing, and that information, those numbers still come out. It's not as if it goes behind a closed door and is never seen again. But those numbers are being used, as we just heard, as Peter just described. We look at Americade, bam, there's things that come through. So information is coming back out of all of that does then benefit the use of the department, the people that are using it.
Well, I mean, that's exactly what it's supposed to be for. That's for us to use, this group right here sitting at the table, as we talk about where, like, budget season is coming up, where should we change our advertising, that's our decision used for that. That's what I mean, not that I don't want to give it to the hotelers or whatever, but that's what we're basing on our decisions, how to promote and how to advertise, and where to go, where it's working, where it isn't working. I mean, I can't say much more than that. I thought I saw another hand. Yes.
Yes, thank you for calling. So I think that there's a couple of things with the STAR report that I think we have to look at. And really, it's micro-trending your STAR report is a dangerous thing, because inventory changes from week to week. Available inventory changes. We add inventory. We have events. We lose events at the same time. Weather can affect a micro-trend. So be real cautious of looking at STAR report to try to make micro-trend decisions. The great thing about the STAR report is it's a macro trender. And even though that we don't necessarily want to have Atlantic City, or we don't want to see some of these other area counties reported because we don't think that they're necessarily relevant, they are relevant to say whether or not that there is a trend or there is a macro reduction in tourism throughout an industry or throughout a region or throughout a portion of the country. So I would encourage us to continue to use the STAR report, even though that we may not necessarily get the micro look of the day-to-day or the week-to-week. These guys can still provide some great analysis, and I would have to trust their analysis. Keep in mind, I buy it anyway, because I think it's important that as I'm putting together my tourist budget, and as I'm advertising in our region, I need to know where they're coming from, who's winning, who's losing, who's doing what, should I be doing what they're doing. But again, that's all on a macro scale. And I'm not making decisions based upon what to do on a Thursday because I'm looking at a STAR report. So just encourage you guys to continue to use it. I hope the committee continues to focus on the macro and not the micro, because that's how we're going to win. If we're thinking about day to day, we'll lose.
That's good. But you know what, I'm sorry I say this, is what happens when it gets out to different people that don't know how to read it, like the last email we got, well, we're seventh from the bottom of 7. I mean, what are you seventh of the bottom from with thousands of locations in this country tourists go to? And that's what my point was. Oh, last year we were 6th from the bottom, now we're 7th from the bottom, so tourism is flat. I mean, that's not my way to do tourism, and that's why I did my report on money. I mean, if tourism's so flat and the county is running out of sales tax revenue to raise the people that live here, their taxes, that's a false statement, and that's, you know, crooked news as far as I'm concerned of statistics. All right, moving on. Another hand? Okay, move on.
If you don't mind.
Yep.
I appreciate your personal opinions on the value of certain reports and things like that. One of the things we got to keep an eye on is the big picture. Big picture is 365.
Speak up, I can't hear you, I'm sorry. A little louder.
Where's there a mic?
Want to use the podium, you're at a low voice.
You're kind of the first person to ever tell me I got a low voice, but we have to keep an eye on the big picture. The STAR report, as Eric was alluding to, is for macro uses. How can we make better decisions for the future? If you can't share it, we can purchase it, whatever the case may be. We're talking small potatoes. What we need to look at overall is how we can generate our occupancy year-round. The gentleman from the Fort William Henry, I'm sorry, I'm so bad with names, but I know him really well. He alluded to Saratoga, which is one of our neighbors. I just read a report from the Chamber of Commerce down there, and we're heading in that same direction. You're saying you're bringing more money in for OCTAX. Yes, you are. How are we doing that? I think our treasurer said that early last year, beginning of this year. We're raising our rates. And why did we raise our rates? We raised our rates because our neighbors raised their rates. We want to stay consistent with what our neighbors have to say. Otherwise, we're going to be below the market even on that. So we decided to raise our rates. We have some good products in the neighborhood now. We were able to raise our rates pretty significantly. Doesn't mean our occupancy is going up. It means our revenue is going up. Our occupancy tax generators are going up, yes. Overall, the big picture is that we are not. So if you're thinking 6 and 7 is a good thing just because you raised a couple $100,000 or $20,000, the word is hell no. It's not good. And the STAR report is a small report that should be valued and should not go away. I know you don't like it. You've already made many comments that you don't like it. You don't think it's worth value. Every DMO, every hotelier, everybody's that's focused on the tourism industry, museums, everything, they all use the STAR report to find out where their people are coming from. They find out where they best put their marketing dollars. And that's what the STAR report should read to you. So you're saying Atlantic City is not really on your radar. But you know what? The same demographics of people are going there are coming here. So how do we get the people from there to come to here? That's what we need to figure out. I don't care if they're in our market or not in our market. You need to figure out those demographics, the people are staying there, also staying here. We need to figure out how to get them here. Because once you get them here, they're going to stay. You have some seriously good products in your market now. You should be proud of that. And another thing that's really funny to me is you created a report which was very good. I appreciate that. And you said you didn't even offer this information to your advisory committee, your citizens part of it. It's pretty low. I think you should, if we're trying to be transparent, trying to keep everybody involved and everybody's getting the same information, you should be bringing your partners to the table and talking with them. Because you know what? They probably would buy into what you're saying too. So trying to say, hey, this is what's going on, we're not going to tell these guys, that's kind of BS to me. So that's why you guys agreed to have an advisory committee. Use these guys and ladies to their advantage and to your advantage. Make it happen. Don't just say, oh, well, we're not going to use them anymore. That happened about 10 years ago. It shouldn't happen again. You got people, make use of these people. Help them make valid and good decisions. And I think that's about all I have to say. I probably got off track.
Well, you know, I have to take that personal too, but my point is you keep saying raising. They're not raising. We just got the email Thursday that we're giving away rooms at $69 here.
That was an example given to you?
Well, examples.
Let me back up here. It was really pretty funny because I was at the hardware store the other day and I was talking to one of the motel. I just happened to see him in the hall on one of the aisles. So I asked him how his summer's doing. He's got like a 20-some room motel up in Lake George. He says, weekends are okay. I haven't got any rooms filled tonight, so I'm down here preparing my rooms for the weekend. So if you're thinking you're doing all that damn well, check your neighbors. Bring him to the table. I happened to catch this guy at the stupid hardware store, for God's sakes, telling me he's not doing very good. Weekends were great. The summer takes care of itself. It really does. Doesn't need a whole lot of help, because this is a destination market. We obviously, that's one of our strengths. We got to get this thing year-round. And so I don't care how personally you take things, because when you entered this room, you kind of went personal too. So if you give it out, you better be able to take it.
Oh, I can take it, no problem.
So-
Yes, I saw another hand.
The notion that the summer takes care of itself is exactly the wrong notion. We've used the STAR reports in their macro level in conjunction with our advisory board to establish that we haven't been focusing on the summer because we take it for granted. And it's been slipping the past few years. So in conjunction with our advisory board, we shifted dollars to the summertime to bolster that month because it doesn't take care of itself. You got to put effort into it, okay? And this 365 notion's all well and good, except May, you can dump $1 million into May. What are people going to do during mud season? So we took the better tax and we dumped money into fall. Because right now, summer needs help and fall has promise. So that's what we're doing with reports, all right? We use them on a macro scale. We don't need experts to look at them because I'm competent enough to do that. If you want more people looking at them, I would love to help. Let's hire more staff and I'll look at it with them. But right now, to say that we're not experts at what we do, I'm incompetent at what we do, I'm not looking at them, I'm not sharing it with the advisory board, I'm not going to put them on the spot and make them say, yes, Peter's been working with us. But I'll tell you that I've been doing it. And I'll continue to do it because they provide a valuable asset to me. They fill in the holes where I'm weak. And that's where they will be used. Meanwhile, I'm also doing a good job at the state level because I'm moving the needle there. The tourism department's solid, okay? And if you ask another anecdotal person, we've talked to a few small lodges. They're at 100% occupancy, okay? So talk to them. You're not going to find them in the hardware store because they're up there running their business. Okay, I get it that it's a diverse community of lodging properties, and some are up and some are down. We look at big picture. We don't control price points. We don't control the quality of product, and we don't control anything reputation-wise.
You seem to be personally feeling like a personal attack on it. That was not my intention or desire. Would you like to talk another time we got?
I'd love to. It just seems to be
That's-
overwhelming.
Let's move on. Yes, sir, you had your hand up, sir? Could you get around to the speaker behind you? Thank you.
I'm Salima Mercy from the Surfside Lake George. In late 2015, 2016, we did a close to $10 million investment. We literally took down 50 hotel accommodation rooms and we replaced it with a better 50 accommodation rooms. We did not increase our room inventory at all. We just increased the quality of room types at our hotel. When I based my budget, I looked at past history in order to able to justify my investment here in Lake George. It was either, for me, to be honest, I had two options: either sell the property, or if I really wanted to enjoy my business, which I do enjoy, otherwise I wouldn't be involved, was to invest in the property for the better. Because in the essence, the final objective is to have a happy guest as opposed to a complaining guest with issues and complaints. I'm sure a lot of properties know this is an ongoing process. It's not something that you do every 5 years. It's something that even today, even this coming year, we have another $200,000 budget for either changing something in the property to keep on enhancing it. It's something that we just cannot let go behind. And I think that refers to all the properties. Just looking in the last 3 years, my occupancy is very stagnant. I thought I would increase my occupancy, but that hasn't been the case. Last year in July, I had an occupancy of 66%. I can relate that to basically because of the construction. But when I compare the occupancy of 2015 and 2017 July, my occupancy is virtually the same. And the only reason you will see on my tax revenue for July, when I pay the occupancy tax, it will be up. And the only reason why it's up is because my ADR room rate is up. I have increased the rates. I feel right now that I'm in the verge of maxed out. I cannot play with my room rates anymore. We are one of the few hotels where we actually publish our rates. Our rates are published. We do not play the demand game because we have such a repetitive high amount of guests that stay at the hotel, so I cannot undermine my rates to be any lower. I just don't want Joe to come to me and say, I've been here 15 years and Jim is paying $25 less per night. It's just a strategy that we play as an independent hotel. But Gene, to be honest, my occupancy in the last 3 years has been very stagnant. It's not going up despite my investments. I'm still just under my projected revenue of what I projected to achieve with the new investment. Would like to see, obviously, the occupancy go up. Just for the record, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? All right, we'll move on to the next part of our agenda here.
Gene, I'm sorry. Can I just offer just some
Go ahead.
statistics?
Go ahead.
Okay, so, again, Eric Gilbert, I'm Great Escape. So, now, total tourism is up for the property, and I do collect a lot of statistics, and of course, we're sharing as much statistics as we can with the tourism group. So, we survey, statistically sound survey to our guests that come into the property every day, right? We collect where they're from, their demographic information, where they're staying, and how many nights that they're staying with local area hotels. If they know specifically the hotel, we will document what those specific hotels are. We also then translate that to the number of tickets that we sell, whether they were sold on the website or sold at the individual hotelier. So our statistics are fairly strong. And it's fairly a macro look. So just so you guys know, rental houses are up 19%. Campgrounds are up 11%. Other, which is a category that folks who don't know how to, answer the question really kind of fall into, is up almost 305%. Hotel, folks who actually stay at one of our hotels, and I would assume a lot of those are smaller mom and pops, the ones that are not reporting into the Star Report, they're down 35%. The other statistic that I give is that one-night stays are up 81%. 2 and 3 night stays are down. 4 night stays are up. So what does that mean, right? So again, those folks who are staying at those rental properties or those Airbnbs, they're the ones that are actually, staying for the longer stretch. So when we talk about our ADR, we talk about our occupancy loss. But if we all go back and we take a look, it's because we probably losing the 2s and the 3s, and not necessarily the single night visitors. Of course, you can get a lot more ADR out of the single night visitors, because you have to encourage them to stay sometimes multi-nights through some discounts. So, I would just, again, take a look at macro trending, really take a look at those stars. So when you look at the Monday through Thursdays, why are the Monday through Thursdays down? Well, it's because people are only staying, 1 to 2 night stays, and they're not staying the 3s and 4 nights. And if they are staying the 4 nights, they're probably staying at somebody's house. So, just stay focused on that.
All right, that's good. All right, let's move on to Lake George CVB. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Glad you brought that up, Eric. Because, I do empathize with the whole hotel industry, very much so. But I'm just speaking from recent experiences on a personal level here. I don't own a business. I'm not a hotelier or anything like that. So that's all I can speak from. I can tell you that this summer, a group of my friends, all of them who are traveling in and out, some are from here, some are from New York City, some of them who have come up from the city, all of them stayed in Airbnb. This is a few different occasions, not one isolated incident. All of them stayed at an Airbnb in Warren County. I went out to Boston to see a Red Sox game, stayed out there for a few nights. Honestly, hotel cost wasn't even an option. It was actually priced out for me. So myself and 4 other people, we went and we stayed at an Airbnb in Boston. That is very much where the trend is going in terms of how people are looking to spend their dollars. And that being brought up and looking at these numbers and the other category of up 305%, that makes total sense. And I know that Supervisor Dickinson, I'm not sure where it stands right now, but I think looking at the Airbnb platform and how to collect occupancy tax with them to even the playing field, so to speak, with the hoteliers is something that we really need to look stronger at. I don't know what the legal hang-ups are. I'm sure there are that are preventing us from taking that step, but it's something that we really need to focus a lot of energy on in terms of, again, leveling the playing field, making sure that everybody's looking at the same hurdles in business. So I just want to make that point on the
All
record.
right, thank you, Matt. All right, let's move this along, because we really got to go. Lake, what? Tom, sorry. No.
I want to make sure you can hear me. I guess a little unsettling meeting today, but I think this is all good stuff. The fact that there's some pushback and there's some ebb and flow, I think is going to serve the county well, and I think that's important. Number one industry in the county is healthcare. I'm fairly certain if Diane Shagru and Dr. Ruggie came to whatever board or meeting and said, listen, it's important that you hear from us, the business sector, as the number one sector in the county, you'd listen to them. With the number two, tourism, you've got a bunch of hoteliers that live it 365, 24/7. This is what we do. We don't go home on Friday afternoon. We're 24/7, 365. So I think our voice should have some weight, and I feel like it's bannered all over the board and all over the room today that things are up, things are down, things are flat, they're up, et cetera, et cetera. I think what's important is that we found that occupancy is not elevating at the same pace that the OCC tax money is elevating. If that was the case, it'd be awesome. We'd be happy. This meeting would have been a 10-minute meeting. But that's not the case. I don't want to belittle or berate the STAR report, but 30% of the reporting, of those that report, generate 70% of the OCC tax money. And that's us in the room. 70% of the OCC tax money comes from the 30% that report. So to dismiss the STAR report is, frankly, it's alarming at best. So I just wanted to say that. Also, your tourism department utilizes it. You talked about Americade. It's a valuable report. So if you look at the report, and like Eric said, not micro, macro, you look at the report over the years, it's alarming at what it's saying. That's simply all we've been trying to say for month after month after month after month, that, hey guys, it's not all rosy out there. It's not. And we want to take a look at that. The tourism department's doing a great job. The ads are awesome. Facebook is awesome. I feel like you're under attack, calling your point saying it's a minuscule tourism department. I don't want a minuscule tourism department in Warren County. I want a vibrant, large, effective tourism department in the county. That's what I want. And at the head, if you're calling it a minuscule, it's setting us back. So our goal, our strategy is, how can we increase tourism, not OCC tax, tourism in the county? It drives sales tax. It drives occupancy tax. It helps fund everything under the sun. So, if the department's going to quote it for Americade, et cetera, I think we have to look at that. But I'm concerned that we're going to spin our wheels, and we're not going to get anywhere. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's move along. Lake George. Yes, Frank. Yep.
Thank you. And, I want to echo Tom's comments. Frank Dietrich from the Earl of West and spokesperson for the Lodging Association. I want to make sure everybody's clear. The Lodging Association happens to be a bunch of hotel owners and operators. Our goal is to improve the tourism economy in the Warren County and the greater Lake George region. So that we're as worried about restaurants and steamboats and amusement parks as we are about hotels. So if the thinking is the hotel owners want to get their hands on control of the occupancy tax dollars, we don't. In fact, we've said many times, Gene, the reason why we didn't take you up on the $400,000 is we rent rooms. We're not professional marketing and promotion people. That's not what we do. We promote our properties, but it's not beyond that. We rent rooms. And so what we're really trying to do here, and Gene had a lot of good data in his report. The data that I've been using on behalf of the Lodging Association happens to add one more year, 2009, so if there's discrepancies, it's likely 1 year. But to give you a feel, and the source for this is Tourism Economics. This is an industry consulting firm that looks at tourism. The impact on the tourism economy in Warren County. 12% of the county makes their living having to do with tourism. A whole bunch of them, by the way, on October 15th will go out of business. Right? We will send them home because people aren't coming. Restaurants will cut back staff, steamboats will cut back staff, and then eventually stop. Obviously, they're weather dependent, and that's how this works. Our goal is to improve that. It's 6,000 direct positions. It's over 9,000, probably 10 seasonal positions. The labor income to the county alone, $275 million. The tourism spending in the area, this is annual, $571 million a year is spent in this county because of tourism. So so Tom's point about it's the number 2 economy in the region, it is. It's also the one that we think has a labor pool that we can actually grow. Wouldn't it be great for people that work a seasonal job right now, making $12 to $14 an hour, $22,000 a year? Let's give them a year-round job. We just doubled their income. We could do that, but it does require people coming here more often, and coming here obviously for a longer part of the season. And the annual contribution to Gene's numbers on sales tax as a tourism economics reports is $70 million a year. Out of the, I think it was 336 you put up, Gene, sales tax related. 70 of it's coming right from tourism. So again, we're not here to, if it's not intended to be adversarial. Our goal is to grow this entire tourism economy. You define what it is, and if you say it's hotels only, you're wrong. It's not hotels only. It's a tourism economy, and it ranges from our northernmost towns to Glens Falls. All of that has to come together. And we heard that from the BBG&G study, right, which we commissioned, and in this room we said we were going to follow it. That study said you need somebody to lead tourism development. We need to fund them, and fund them fully. And we need to have a consistent strategy. And our view, of course, would be how could you not come up with a year-round strategy that goes with that? The effort that the tourism department's going through, honestly, and I feel bad. If you guys think, I somehow hate you or the Lodging Association hates you, I feel bad about that. That's not the point. Think about 2-3 years ago what we talked about in this room. It was 100% brochures. 100%. How much you paying for stamps was the big debate in this room, right? Look at us now. The Facebook promotions, that Book Now thing is a no-brainer, great idea. Connect to a local website and you can book on the Earl of West site, the Clarion site, pick your favorite property or pick the one you hate. It's an easy one to connect to. It's a great idea. And I don't know of any other county that's doing that. So there's good stuff going on. But having said that, we compete. We know where our guests come from. Sam showed us a few years ago, right? Draws bullseye on New York City. What was it, Sam? 70 miles out, maybe? Right? So you draw a circle 70 miles out. Some of them are living in water, but a lot of them are living on land. And with that, we try to draw those guests here. Well, guess what? So does the Finger Lakes. The Finger Lakes doesn't view themselves, they view themselves as a region, not a county. They put 14 counties together. They go from Lake Ontario to the Pennsylvania border. They have mountains, not as tall as ours. They have lakes, not as big as ours, pretty damn clean though. And they have wineries. They got stuff to do. They have amusement parks too, right? That area right now, the average number of people that are out selling their region in New York State, if you look at the top 10 tourism counties in New York State, the average number of people they have on deck to sell, 22. 22 people. High water mark's Buffalo. 34 people's job is to sell buffalo. Right? So when we're talking about where we think we need to go from an investment and the development of tourism, we're looking around and seeing what's happening. Guests have a place, they have to decide things. Matt, you pointed out, people, this come back every year thing, that's pretty cool for people that were coming here 30 years ago, right? That's the story on every property. I've been coming here for 37 years. That's the high water mark at Suncastle. We've guessed 37 straight years, same unit, same week, ta-da. You know what? They're going away. You know what they're doing? They're dying. I mean,
Don't stay at Suncastle.
What's that? Sorry? So, so what do we have to do as a community? Obviously, Suncastle Resort, which I sit on every day, we have a problem. We have to replace those guests. We have a lot of competitive pressure to do that because of things like Airbnb. Also, individuals who say, I've been to Lake George. It was nice. I'm doing something different next year. So what do we do to get sticky? Those are all the things that, we're looking for from a lodging association. We believe that if we concentrate as a county and a county government and the businesses that are part of it, we have a wonderful opportunity here to benefit everybody in this county. 6,000 people could go to more year-round employment. Every resident, this is the tourism economic study, the economic value of tourism to a county resident is almost $2,400 a year. That's what they get. And that's because tourists came and elected to spend their money here instead of relying on our local residents to fund the activities that we have here. So the benefactors of an improved tourism economy, it's certainly the guests. You get to come to a great area. It's certainly the county, increased sales tax. It's the residents of the community twice, better jobs, better employment. And oh, by the way, because we have all this neat stuff here for tourists to play with, like our bike trails, our hiking, et cetera, that becomes immediately available to the residents. This becomes a great place to live. And so the opportunity here, when we compare it to other industries that could come to the area, in our mind, it's really simple. Tourism's a natural fit here. But what we have to do is figure out how do we manage it together and how do we move it forward. And that's our goal here. We would honestly recommend we go back to that BBG&G study, take a look at it and figure out what do we got to do. We still don't have one county brand. That was a year ago. So that would be our ask. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Move on to try to get Kristen Hanneman. You here in the corner? Get up and talk.
It's almost afternoon, everybody. Before you, what you have is actually it's a fairly extensive report and an example. I've given you actually the July monthly report as well as the June because we didn't meet in June. And there's been a lot going on in both months. In addition, what you have in front of you as well is this. This is my tracking that I take a look at every month and I go through and I follow. And I wanted you to see this as an example. It needs to be updated. I've been running around 10,000 different directions with a lot of things going on. But I wanted you to see this because I want you to understand where, from the CVB standpoint, what do we do? What am I looking at? What are the events going on? What's pending? What's out there? How much is being brought in? Where are the leads coming from? What's confirmed? And how far out I actually work? Because what I do is I bring in the business that is not just for this year, but for 2018, 2019, 2021, and beyond. So I want you to understand that. So as I'm going through the July and the June reports, I want you to at least see that a little bit, and if you have questions, certainly feel free to talk to me afterwards, or we can talk about that at another time. But if you want to jump to June just for a second, I know that we are running a bit over, but I think it's important that you at least understand what's come through in the last couple of months and the things that are coming through the CVB. So I'll just go through some of the highlights. In June, I was at the SA conference with about 9 other properties. The SA is the Empire State Society of Association Executives Conference. It is a statewide event that happens every year. We had some great partnerships with Adirondack Pub and Brewery, Adirondack Winery, as well as the 9 other properties. From this, we interacted with over 20 to 25 planners. I got 2 RFPs, which are currently active. one for the New York State Telecommunications Association, and one for the New York State Association of Convenience Stores. Convenience stores is pending. I just found out as of Friday, Telecom, we lost, unfortunately, to Lake Placid. Very unfortunate. But they're looking to come to us for 2019. In addition, I also want to say that the potential that we have coming up, I also attended the Connect New England marketplace in Portland, Maine. I held 29 appointments one-on-one, think of speed dating but for tourism and meeting planners. Had 15 hot leads come off of that. And overall, sorry, I lost my train of thought here. We're looking at least 6 to 8 new RFPs that came off of that marketplace as well. So overall, in looking at the numbers and looking at the potential for all of June, the numbers of potential room nights that could be booked based on 2018-2019 numbers, about 1,040 room nights. So all in all, there's about 11 RFPs put out for June, with 11 possible conferences and events for 18 and 19. In addition, I was also working very closely with the EVP volleyball folks, which I'll talk about in a minute. The Hemmings Car Show folks, which are coming in October. New York State Outdoor Writers Association. The Ride for Hope and Gratitude also coming in September. Mostly on the marketing, PR, and event management and logistics side. So in addition, I also finalized and finished as of last week the CFA Market New York grant for the Adventure Travel Trade Association Conference. We have won the bid for the 2019 conference, which is looking to bring in over 300 international tourism and destination professionals, as well as industry experts in adventure travel, media, travel writers, tour operators, receptive tour operators. This is a really big deal for our area. So that's why that Market New York grant is so important, because it helps sustain and help support that conference coming in 2019. In the portion that I have under July, you'll see the conference overview. You'll have to jump up a little bit. It's going to be June 9 through 14. It'll be actually over the course of a couple of days. We'll have pre and post FAM tours, familiarization tours for the media as well as for the tour operators. We currently have some partners being built. The overview of the project, as I mentioned, it's about 200 to 300 attendees. Media marketplaces, workshops, collaborative learning, day of adventure, in-depth look at adventure travel, best practices. What that means for our area overall as a whole is a lot of different things. It means extensive PR, worth millions of impressions and millions of dollars. It means expanding on our demographic, tying in with DEC's Adventure New York initiative, which the governor just launched actually in the last month, and they're very supportive. It means economic impact for us. So it means being able to bring new businesses to the area, adventure travel business, hiking, whitewater rafting, anything that has to do camping. These are all initiatives that we're looking to move forward to really bring economic development, not just within the season, but beyond the seasons. So this is really something that is truly an opportunity for us to grow moving forward. Jumping to July a little bit, as my pages are every which way. The pace has remained very steady. July brought us a lot of different types of events. We saw in the area the USSA softball tournament at the Adirondack Sportsplex. Primetime Lacrosse Nationals came in at Golden Goal. EVP Queen of the Lakes Pro-Am tournament for the first time. King George Fishing Derby and the Lake George Film Festival. I think it's important here to look at, just for a second, the sports side of things. Primetime Lacrosse at Golden Goal went from 20 teams to 63. They had about 4,000 on site, and businesses like Adirondack Pub and Brewery saw bookings of 20 and 30 people at night at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, increasing their businesses. They also saw 163 room nights at the Ramada Inn, 27 room nights at the Sleep Inn, and 14 at Six Flags. There's going to be more that I'm gaining data from, but I'm collecting that as we go. So I'm waiting to hear back. On the EVP side, EVP volleyball tournament was a really good success. We had a really nice turnout. Weather was a little so-so. Had about 105 athletes total. About 24 pro teams showed up. 38 to 40 amateurs, but we had a total of roughly around 105 The press coverage is linked in there. You're welcome to take a look at that. I know I sent that to some of you so you could see we had some really nice press coverage over the weekend. We had teams in from Connecticut, New Hampshire, Delaware, Florida. Mostly those are the junior teams who just came in for the day. Why? Because they didn't know that there was so many great things to do here. And when the families came in, they said, wow, you've got Six Flags Great Escape, you've got parasailing. I'm making this my vacation for next year. We'll come back, we'll tell our friends, we'll tell our teams. So they're going to come back. And so this whole event has the opportunity to grow. So from 105 athletes, we could grow next year to 200, to 300 potentially. But they were very, very happy. So I want to take these day trippers and transfer them over. They found out we had fireworks Thursday night. I want to stay for fireworks. I'll come Wednesday and stay Sunday. Love it. Saturday the 15th began at 8:30 and ran till 8 at night. We had probably 50 to 70 spectators over the course of the day on Million Dollar Beach. The Canadian team won its very first EVP competition, so we did have a team from Canada. They also came in from California, Texas, Maryland, Illinois, Indiana, Florida, and like I said, Canada. In addition, the CVB reached out to the businesses. We want the businesses to be able to profit from the groups that come in, so therefore we created a dine-around map. I unfortunately didn't print it. I'll send it to you. It was a map of 10 local businesses, restaurants that provided a discount, whether it was a 10% or a free drink, whatever they wanted to offer. We went out and we reached out to them through the Chamber and the CVB and said, how would you like to work with us? We have a group coming in, and we can do this with other events, and that's the great part. So we got little silicone bracelets, blue and green, gave them to all the athletes and all the participants, and they got the map. And with the map, we said, here's 10 businesses you can go to, and oh, by the way, here's 10 more additional businesses that want to give you a discount on a T-shirt or on a visor or a piece of jewelry that they have in their shop. So we actually had 20 businesses participating in this. And the athletes loved it. They thought it was terrific. They can't wait to come back again. They love the fact that we are all part of what it's called a triangle. They could go from the beach to their hotels to the downtown. They could ride the trolley for $1. They could go down the street to Queensbury. They could go shopping. Go to Six Flags Great Escape. Go down to Glens Falls and do the brewery tours. All this is really positive. We've received some phenomenal feedback from them. And so looking at this overall, the Fort William Henry had about 29 room nights. I'm trying to gather the rest of the room nights from some of the other folks. Like I said, some were day trippers. I'm expecting more to come next year in terms of building that specific segment and that particular event. But overall, I think for a first-time event, it was a success. I will have probably the video, the 1-hour video that we invested into, the promo probably available by next month, which I'd be happy to share with you once we get it. But they really took some phenomenal footage, aerial stuff of the entire area, Canada Street, the back of the boats, over the lake, all around the area, various properties, Six Flags, all the cool things that we have around here that are assets to be able to showcase this and show it to 60 million households across the U.S. Pretty good investment, I think. So overall, currently what's going on from the RFP from July standpoint, like I mentioned, the Adventure Travel Trade Association is confirmed. We're moving forward on that. That Market New York grant is in. NEAR is pending. There are several others that are currently pending. I just got a new one in from Kendall Vineyards for November, which is looking for a very specific type of property, so I'm working with them now on that. Sandhustle is going to come back around, and they're going to come probably in 2018. And like I mentioned, we lost the New York State teleconference to Lake Placid. Overall, there's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of great potential here. I've been listening on and off, everybody talking, and the thing that's important, I've been in travel and tourism 25 years. The CVB role is to help generate economic development and businesses and continue that business year-round 365. It's a guarantee of new business opportunities to create the heads and beds and increase the tax dollars. And, my business is booked through this office, like I said, not just months, not just days, but, years ahead. So that, hoteliers can look and see, businesses can look and see, okay, well, in 2019, I've got, 7 conferences booked. I've got 16 sports teams booked. And so I think it's important that we understand that, this is an important part of that 365 economy going forward. what my reports to demonstrate what I'm currently doing now and how we're growing that business and how we're trying to grow that economy. But I think as we keep moving forward, knowing that this type of business is not weather dependent, is not, worried about, how necessarily economies are always going, but that's going to be coming ahead of time. And so as we think about that, put that into the mix and really understand. That's why, like I said, that's why I want you to see how far out we work and what it means, and what it means to work together as with the tourism department hand in hand, and they do a terrific job in getting the word out. Their videos or advertisements are stellar. They're really nice. And I think the messaging behind it is really positive. That original vacation, tying into what I Love New York is doing. I worked with I Love New York for well over 25 years. Tying into what they can do, the reach they can have, and dovetailing those efforts is absolutely critical. There's not enough money in the world to get all of our words out all the time, but partnering together is really what's important. So, if anybody has any questions, I've abbreviated everything, but there's a lot of information, a lot of detail in this, and I'm happy to talk about it with anybody who would like to, after or at any other time.
Rachel, you have a question?
Thank you, Jane. Kristen, I love your energy, but even more than your energy, I love your results. And so what I keep seeing, and I think I've mentioned it at every meeting, is that for a small contract that we have with you, the type of results that we end up getting. And again, I agree that we all took in this B&G report and agreed to follow it. I hope that between tourism and OCTAX, we're going to see that happen. And I, for one, I know the contract's coming up, but I would love to see some more dollars diverted over to the CVB so that there isn't just one of Kristen, but maybe 3 of Kristen that could deliver these results. I understand what tourism does is different than what you do and that you have to work together, but when we're funding tourism 7-8 times more than what we're funding CVB and we're looking at the results, I just would have to think there must be a way to be able to share that occupancy tax so that we continue to get the results that we're seeing you bring in. And if we don't have a meeting every month, is there a way to still get this report on our website for the public to see? Because again, in my humble opinion, it's taxpayer money. We should be showing them the results that you're getting. And the results are phenomenal. So thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Yes, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I actually agree with that statement.
Good thing.
It's
a good thing.
No, it is. Just listening to everything that was said today, it can get very contentious at times, and I understand that. It is difficult when you are running a business and you're not making the margins that you want to make. You want everything to happen all at once. And sometimes it gets very difficult, especially when you're in the peak season, when you want things to be moving. It's not quite where you want it to be. But we can't, as a tourism department within Warren County, as this operation, the people in this room, we can't get so dug in on where we are now. We need to remember to look where we are going. And I think if you look at where this process was before my tenure on the board, and where it is now, tremendous progress, tremendous progress. We needed to develop a brand around our destination and our identity. We are doing that. We needed to modernize our promotional methods. We are doing that. We needed to incorporate more input from the private sector. We are doing that with both OCTAX and tourism. Taking a step ahead, we want to develop our shoulder seasons. We're looking at that with the fall. We want to become 365. Well, what is New York City's biggest tourism season? It's the winter. We have a little downtown hub in Glens Falls, which can serve as a foundation to develop that winter tourism sector. We don't necessarily have a Gore Mountain downtown, so it's going to be difficult to attract the ski tourism, but we still have something to build off of. To do that, we need to develop some conventions, some conferences, etc. That's where bringing in another Kristen could come into play. I was just having a conversation with Amy Collins. She's our Glens Falls Tourism Director. She's working on something right now with Pilot of Queensbury Hotel. These things will help with the development of those shoulder seasons, those conventions, those conferences. But let's just remember to continue looking at where we are going, look forward. keep working together. It was a good meeting.
All right, thank you. How about any additional terms of discussion to the committee? All right, how about a motion to adjourn? Ms. Frazier? On Tessie. All in favor? Thank you all.